So this model is the eye that is still inside of the orbit. So notice that the bones are still there. Here, for example, is a part of the nasal bone. This would be part of the frontal bone. If I turn this to the medial side, you will recognize the nasal septum, and you can see the frontal sinus here, and this is part of the ethmoid sinus. Here's your cristagalli, perpendicular plate of ethmoid, your vomer. And that should get you some orientation. If we turn to the posterior, and I tilt this up just a little bit, you can see that once again this is a right eye, and this portion right here is the right optic nerve, and what this is representing right here is the optic chiasm. Now let me shift this over so we can see what it looks like from the lateral side, and we'll come back and talk about muscles in just a moment. And then let's shift it back to here. And while I'm doing that, I'm kind of keeping it at an angle so you can see the lacrimal gland in this orientation. Now, let me switch this around here to the front, and I'd like to point out that what we're looking at here is the superior palpebrae, the upper eyelid, and this is the inferior palpebra, the lower eyelid. From this particular view, we have a much more clear picture of the superior lacrimal canaliculus and the inferior lacrimal canaliculus. And then this structure that they're joining into right there, that is the lacrimal sac. So let's talk about muscles, and in order for me to talk about muscles, I'm going to have to tilt this model down and then get to where I can see it also. You're going to want, or at least most students want, to call this the superior rectus muscle, but it's actually the levator palpebra superioris muscle, and it is the muscle that lifts that superior eyelid. And I think I'm going to have to turn it at this point and take off the eyelid. And if you look, once this is taken off, you can see that this muscle is going all the way to the upper eyelid. So that's our levator palpebrae superioris. And the muscle underneath it here, that is the superior rectus. And they're showing you a little bit of the superior rectus. Let me turn it down. They're showing you a little bit of the superior rectus right there where it attaches onto the eyeball with its tendon. Now, while we're in this orientation, I want you to find this muscle right here, and that is the superior oblique muscle. And it comes through a little ring called the trochlea over here, and then the tendon comes in and it inserts at an angle. Let me see. Let me grab that. We saw that on the other eye. Let me see if I can turn this so y'all can see. I have to rotate it around here so y'all can see that. There we go. It comes in at an angle and attaches onto the eye. That is a superior oblique. Now, let me go back just real quickly to that little ring that is not shown very well here, but it would be in this area, that the tendon comes through to insert onto the eyeball. That ring is called the trochlea, and that is where the trochlear nerve got its name, because one of the functions of the trochlear nerve is to control that superior oblique muscle. Now, while we're here, let me turn that around. If you can see over on this side, where I'm touching that down, that is your superior, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That is your medial rectus muscle, and we ought to be able to see our inferior rectus muscle really well on that side. And if we come back over here, you can't really tell what you're looking at, but you can see the inferior obliques and the inferior rectus. And I think for that, I need to take this off without destroying the model. I need to take that off, and we can see the inferior rectus coming back right there. That's the inferior rectus muscle. And if I switch it over here, you'll notice that this muscle is coming in at an angle. That is our inferior oblique muscle. Again, this part is the sclera, and this part is the cornea. And I think we'll stop looking at external structures and see if we can see any of the internal structures. However, before we go, again, this is the optic nerve that we're looking at here, coming to here, and then of course this is where it's going to meet in the optic chiasm.